Everybody to the first meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO in 2026. It is 10 a.m. on January 20th, 2026, and I will call the meeting to order. Can we have a call of the roll, please, Tracy?
Daniel Nairn.
Here.
Tim Jacobs. Deidre Hughes.
Here.
Gabe Schell.
Here.
Loretta Marshak. Jarek Wigness.
Here.
John Sackie. Logan Bisey.
Here.
Mitch Flanagan. Natalie Pierce. Will Hutchings.
Here.
And Chair Ripple.
Here. Thank you. The meeting is called to order. First order of business is public comment. At this time, we will receive public comment that is restricted to items on the current agenda or the prior TAC agenda of December 2025, excluding any public hearing items. Are there any comments from the public at this time? Second call for public comments. And a third call for public comments. Hearing and seeing none, public comment period is closed. We'll move on to the TAC agenda. I'm sure that you've all noticed that there is a little different format to the TAC agenda this month. As a reminder, TAC and Policy Board have both recently questioned the need for presentation of items that are being presented primarily for informational information, I guess, or informational purposes, such as administrative modifications to the TIP or administrative modifications to the UPWP, or perhaps very, very brief progress reports on studies. And so last month we did revise our format to put these types of informational items at the end of the agenda, even after other business. However, we were further directed by Policy Board last month to actually change the format of the agenda to just include consent items and a regular agenda so that these types of informational items can be put under a consent agenda. And so that's what you see before you today. So we do have 4 items on the consent agenda, including the consideration and approval of minutes from the December 15, 2025 TAC meeting, the Bismarck 2025 Traffic Data Collection Final Status Report, the 2025 Intelligent Transportation Systems Regional Architecture Final Report Revision, and notice of a 2026-2029 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, modifications. All of these items were included in your packet for review. What are the wishes of the TAC? Okay.
Maybe before a motion, can you, Kim, explain if the Policy Board provided any other direction as to what items they'd want to see on regular agenda versus consent agenda, or how that's determined?
They just specified items to be put on the consent agenda would include things like the minutes and again, the notification for administrative modifications and minor report updates.
Just a note too, it sounds like those online are not getting audio. It looks like maybe Stephen went back to make a note of it, but yeah, okay.
Thanks, appreciate that, Will. We might have members that were not hearing us call the roll.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay.
Move to approve.
All right. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Deidre, I'll second.
And a second. Roll call vote, please.
Daniel Nairn.
Yes.
Tim Jacobs. Deidre Hughes.
Yes.
Gabe Schell.
Yes.
Loretta Marshak. I don't think they can hear us. Jarek Wigness.
Yes.
John Sackie. Logan Bisey.
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan, Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to the regular agenda.
So Kim, I'm thinking we might need to pause
We
to
are not
troubleshoot,
getting a
'cause we're not-
quorum on our voting.
No, because we're not. Nobody online is able to hear us at the moment.
And we need audible votes from our voters who are participating remotely. So by my count, we're short a quorum vote.
Chair, what is the quorum? Can you maybe explain how the freight industry representative particular is included or not included in the quorum if there's not, that person isn't a person right now?
Sure, thanks, Gabe. Actually, it's just based on our bylaws, and so we do have 2 open positions at this time. The freight industry representative position has been open, and we haven't had representation on the TAC for actually going on almost several years now. In addition to that, we are still lacking a representative for the City of Mandan Planning Department, so we do have 2 positions that are not filled. However, because the bylaws have not been amended, we still need to go by a quorum count of 8 voting members to approve any action by the board. So right now, like I said, we're falling 1 short on our quorum voting.
They're troubleshooting.
Okay.
If I may, this doesn't affect the decision today, but what would be the process for amending the bylaws? Is it something the TAC committee can do themselves, or does that require a policy board decision?
It does require a policy board, and it would require that we bring it to TAC and policy board for consideration, both, yeah. It would have to be placed on the agenda. We couldn't just bring that forward. Gabe?
Well, I would advise that we do that moving forward if we can put some efforts. If it's
Sure.
something that the City of Mandan's planner position isn't filled, that can't be filled. So for that period of time where it's not even a position that the City of Mandan has employed, how would we expect that person to participate in this board? So there might be some
Right.
ways to talk about that if those positions exist, or there's a person in that role or in an acting role, then it counts, but if not, well, I don't know if it would need to hold it against our quorum calculation.
It is something that we could consider, definitely. The other alternative is that our bylaws do provide for proxies to be appointed. So in the case of the City of Mandan, if they have alternate staff who would be willing to provide their expertise on the TAC, they could certainly they could sit in that position until such time it were filled on a full-time basis. That would be at the discretion of Mandan, and I guess given the situation, just so that we have full representation or as full as possible, that might be something that we could encourage.
Nothing yet, yeah. Everyone
okay.
in the chat apparently is unable to hear. I don't know if they could get on the Dakota media access and they thought the audio to hear, but then they would be able to necessarily provide feedback.
Yeah, and we can't accept like a raised hand. We can't accept a chat, aye or nay for the vote. It has to be audible. We should have some Jeopardy music playing now.
I guess for the sake of discussion, I'd support Gabe's recommendation as well, looking at our bylaws discussions. And also just to point out that I think other boards that are managed in the city usually do not count the quorum, at least in the city of Bismarck, do not count unfilled seats as part of the quorum, and for the Planning and Zoning Commission and others. So it might be consistent with other practices.
Thanks, I appreciate that comment. And I think this is definitely something that staff can look into updating here and then, bringing back to the boards for consideration.
Are you currently at an odd number, or would it create an odd number? If you remove the freight representative.
Actually, we're at 14 right now, so
Okay.
we're at an even number,
So you'd
which
have a
is.
tiebreaker, yeah.
Yeah, is usually not preferable. We usually like to have an odd number of board members. But when we did add the City of Mandan planner position, which currently wasn't
Right.
in our bylaws prior to, I believe, I don't know what year that was.
No, a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. But that did create the even number of board members for the TAC. We might think, too, because we've had such difficulty filling the freight industry representative position, we may consider rephrasing that somehow. That is, it has long been taken to mean freight industry being trucking, long-haul trucking and transport. Maybe we need to expand freight because there are other modes of freight transportation. So that might be some consideration as to expound on that language a little bit.
Yeah, you can think about like our UPS, FedEx deliveries, and how they get around the region.
We've reached out to the North Dakota Motor Carriers Association on several occasions, and it's looked promising, but we've never had anybody successfully fill that position. And most recently, we had an offer by the North Dakota Motor Carriers Association to step into that position, but that was a staff person that would be representing the interests of the Motor Carriers Association board. And I said, that is something that we can't do. It needs to be, it can be somebody who is employed, but they need to be representing the industry as a whole and not the board interests of an association. Gabe?
Maybe as a follow-up to that, Kim, do the other three MPOs have a trucking or freight industry representative in their TAC makeup? Or maybe it's a little
Yeah.
question if you're more well-suited to
I
respond.
think FMCOG has something related to freight. I'd have to double check on that. I don't believe Minot definitely does not, nor does Grand Forks. So.
I mean, I would advocate too that it's something that it's a good offer to have out there. It's a standing offer. If someone wants to, great. But if we're asking and they say no and it's been multiple years of not being able to fill something, I don't want to run into quorum issues
Right.
within these meetings because we can't conduct our business because there's maybe just not the right fit anymore. And maybe
Sure.
it was a good fit when we had that person previously in that role.
Exactly.
Could be part of that.
I did get a note that for a brief moment they had audio online. So if that, whatever you did a second ago, now it's working. Yeah,
I
Bert.
think it's going through the mic in here now, so it might just be worse audio, so if they can hear enough, is that fine?
Okay.
If they can hear enough to
Yeah.
hear our
It's a
discussion
worse
and,
microphone. It's not gonna be coming through like the ones you're talking to, it's just gonna be like the
okay.
onboard.
Well, maybe we can check and see if they
Yeah.
are hearing us.
Someone said,
Someone is?
so I'm gonna try to go like this, maybe they'll hear that.
Okay. Okay. We'll
Do you want to do a
try
roll?
it and see what works.
You want to do a roll
Yeah,
call again?
let's start with the roll call, and in fact, we'll probably call the entire meeting back to order. So, because we now have a quorum, yeah, we're going to go in reverse this morning. I'll call the January 20th, 2026 meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee to order, and we'll begin with a roll call, please.
Okay, I'm just going to do the ones online that were missed. So Tim Jacobs,
Here.
Okay.
Loretta Marshak, Loretta Marshak,
She was still having some audio issues in the chat.
That's okay. With Tim, we have a quorum.
and then John Sackey, Mitch Flanagan,
Here.
Okay.
and that's it. Okay.
While we were able to hear one, so that's enough for us.
Well, I heard Mitch and I heard Tim.
Oh, you heard me.
Yes,
It's so quiet over here.
okay. Yeah, we got it from the laptop up by the podium. I heard Mitch. Okay, all right. So we do have 8 that are in attendance now. We've already gone through the public comment period. However, I will have to reopen that public comment because if there were any members of the public that wanted to present comment, they did not have the opportunity. So, opening the public comment for items on the current agenda or the prior TAC agenda. Second call for public comment. And third call from public for public comment. Public comment period is closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. For those that are online and did not hear, we've changed the agenda format based on TAC and then further recommendations from the policy board to forego formal presentations on items like UPWP administrative modifications or administrative modifications to the TIP. Also, very light progress reports for studies that are of very minor significance or do not merit any final presentation. Based on this direction that was received from Policy Board last month, which would also include the approval of the minutes, you see the new format, and we will begin with the consent agenda. There are 4 items on that. One is the approval of minutes from the December 15th, 2025 TAC meeting. We also have the Bismarck 2025 traffic data collection final status report. We have a 2025 Intelligent Transportation System Regional Architecture Final Report revision, and Notice of 2026-2029 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, modifications. All of these items were included in the packet for your review. We did have a motion by Gabe Schell for approval of the consent agenda items. Deidre Hughes seconded the motion, and we will have are there any discussion points? We will have a roll call vote.
Daniel Naren,
Yes.
Tim Jacobs,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Gabe Schell,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak, Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
John Sackey, Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes, items on the consent agenda are approved. Moving on to the regular agenda, we have an ATAC addendum for Fringe Area Road Master Plan modeling. Stephen Larson.
Thank you, Chair. Give me just one moment to share screen with everyone. All right. Good morning. Today I'm presenting on Exhibit D in your packet. This is for an addendum to the master agreement with ATAC. So the MPO has a master agreement with the Advanced Traffic Analysis Center at NDSU for the maintenance of our travel demand model. So when the MPO or its jurisdictions require additional services from ATAC, this is addressed by creating addendums to that master agreement. So today's addendum concerns services we would like ATAC to perform to support the ongoing Fringe Area Road Master Plan update. The MPO and the consultant are requesting that ATAC review previous travel demand models that were used to support previous studies that are relevant to this project, the 2014 Fringe Area Roads update and the 2009 Beltway study, ATAC will also help to review the current travel demand model with a focus on roadways that were previously identified as future beltway alignments in the 2014 Fringe Area Road Plan, and perform some scenario model runs to help the MPO and the study team understand how realistic the 2014 FAR-MP alignments are today, and to explore alternative ways to accomplish similar transportation goals. So the project will be completed by March 31st of this year. Again, we're trying, it's a February 1st through March 31st time frame. The contracted amount is $14,393. The 80% will be covered by the MPO, 20% will be paid by the 5 participating jurisdictions in this project at the standard population breakout, which would lead to Bismarck's share being $1,727, Mandan's at $576, Burley's at $432, and Morton and Lincoln each at $72. The approved UPWP budget for 2026 has already set aside a little over $26,000 for ATAC modeling, so your jurisdictions have already budgeted for these local shares this year. So this is not an increase to the existing MPO budget. It is simply utilizing some of the funds set aside for modeling in 26. Staff would then be seeking a motion to approve this addendum, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen on the ATAC addendum? Gabe?
Stephen, thank you. Just maybe time-wise and process-wise, when would the information be given to ATAC to run some of these models or model changes potentially relative to what the steering committee or TAC is looking at on the plan or the project? Is this just opening up the ability to do it, but not really kicking off ATAC to actually make any changes until?
So most of the information ATAT already has, and the consultant is requesting access to historic models, and then also to be open to utilizing the current model and run scenarios specifically for. The focus of this will be on kind of the previously identified beltway roads within that, and the time frame we're trying to. Again, we're trying to get it completed as quickly as we can so that it can be fed into the development and fringe area scenarios that the consultant will be bringing to the steering committee and to the public in April, is the idea. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I...
Partly. I guess I would want to make sure that the steering committee has the opportunity to talk about what it is that we're authorizing or telling ATAC to model. When it just says option 1 and option 2 in this scope, I'm not sure what option 1 and option 2 are yet.
Okay.
And so that's just what I wanted to make sure that we understood, if that's just being handled by MPO staff and ATAC, or if that's going to be part of the steering committee or the full TAC, I guess, for that matter.
And my understanding is that we will be discussing this at our steering committee meeting next week, but I'll have to double check on the exact details of that. Most of this has been driven by the consultant need, so I will touch base with Joel on that, but I'm pretty sure, yes, it will be coming to the steering committee next week.
Okay. And that steering committee, you mean this week, right?
Oh, yeah, this week. Sorry,
great.
This week, that's right.
Sounds good. Thank
Couple
you.
days. Mm-hmm.
It's been one of those months. Any other questions for Stephen?
Yeah, I had a question. That $26,000 you referenced that it's allocated for in the UPWP, is that specific for this study, or is it just all studies that the MPO might need to have ATAC do some modeling for?
Yeah, no, it's general modeling.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Daniel?
Sure, I just have one point to make, and I think, certainly more information is always better. I think I'd maybe offer some cautionary interpretation of the model for this purpose, because there's not a perfect alignment between the assumptions that the travel demand model was built on and the Fringe Area Master Plan's assumptions. Of course, the travel demand model is built for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which is really looking at a certain time horizon and a certain assumption about how the city and community will grow in that amount of time. Whereas the Fringe Road Master Plan, as I understand it, is really neutral in terms of the time or the expectations of the city's growth, but it's just really there for showing where the alignments should be if that area does at some point in time grow in the future. So they're not quite the same, and so I think maybe just when we use the data, just to be mindful of those differences.
Yes, Daniel, thank you for that note. And yes, the consultant is aware of that. We're not, the previous models are, so there, we would be utilizing previous travel demand models. They wouldn't be specific necessarily to the 2014 4MP or the 2009 Beltway study. They would be just models that were used as part of that study process, but it won't be, the parameters won't be narrow, if that makes sense.
Great. Any other questions for Stephen? Any other comments on the ATAC addendum? If not, we would be looking for a motion to approve.
This is Gabe, I would move to approve.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Ms. Deidre, I'll second.
Thank you, Deidre. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Daniel Naren,
Yes.
Tim Jacobs,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Gabe Shell,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan,
Yep.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 8, 2026-2029 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment with Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. So this month, Exhibit E in your packet, we processed one amendment to the 26-29 TIP. The amendment is being advertised for the required 15-day public comment period. A public hearing will be held at 10 a.m. on Thursday at the City County Building here in the David Blackstead Room on the second floor. So the amendment addresses a project for microsurfacing on North Dakota 810 from 12th Street to Main Avenue. The extents of the project have been increased now to run from the Expressway Bridge to Main Avenue, and the project cost estimates have also increased, as noted on the amendment form. MPO staff would today be seeking a motion to approve the amendment contingent on no substantive public comments being received at the public hearing on Thursday. Are there any questions?
Can you just repeat the time of that public hearing?
That will be this Thursday, 10 a.m. at this location, second floor.
Any other questions for Stephen regarding the amendment? If not, motion to approve.
Ms. Deidre, I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Deidre. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
This is Gabe, I'd second.
Thank you, Gabe. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Daniel Naren,
Yes.
Tim Jacobs,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Gabe Shell,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Mitch Flanagan,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to number 9 is the 2025 Fringe Area Road Master Plan update. I believe that we have,
Well, we'll
or
see.
we're expecting Joel.
Joel, can you
I'm
try
here.
talking to us, and we'll see if you can hear you. If we can't, I might just have to pinch hit with the audio issues.
I am here. Can anyone hear me? For whatever reason, after rejoining the Zoom, the camera doesn't, I can turn it on, but I don't see myself here, so I don't know if you can hear audio.
That's pretty tough. I don't think that
Yeah,
anybody
that's
online
okay,
is
Joel.
probably
I
hearing
will
that.
just take the TAC update, and we'll hope that the audio will be better for policy board.
Exactly.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
So no, I will pretend to be Joel for a little bit and not do as well, but we'll kind of give a brief update on the Fringe Area Road Master Plan. There's been a lot going on with that plan since we intended to have 2 public meetings in December on the 9th and the 10th. We were able to hold the Bismarck meeting on the 10th, and we had some good participation there. The people who were able to attend enjoyed the interactive activity that the consultant prepared to really introduce them to the plan and some of the challenges that we face in the update. And then we had to reschedule the Mandan public meeting due to weather, but we held that on the 13th, and we Again, we had about 10 participants and really good engagement. We got some good comments. We've also been have developed and released an interactive map for the public to provide additional feedback. And last time I checked, we had a good number of comments. It looked like 30 or 40 comments so far on the map, and we will continue to be collecting public input on that for at least the next month. So as far as the public involvement goes, we're pretty much wrapping up phase 1, and we will be, the consultant will be preparing a summary of the findings of that to include with the plan as the update moves forward. We will be holding a second steering committee meeting later this week. I believe that's Thursday as well. And then we will discuss the data collection efforts that have been ongoing. We are pretty nearly complete with what kind of the initial round of data that we need. The ATAC modeling that they will be doing to help support this plan, and again, the public engagement that we've been doing. So there's going to be some important discussion points for our committee later this week. And we're on track and on schedule for the plan. We're looking at late summer for final presentation. Are there any questions?
For the engagement and the participants in those meetings, were you getting good representation from the ETA, the fringe area?
Yes, we actually did get several people, or a couple people in Bismarck, and I think at least a couple of people in the Mandan one that were ETA or kind of property owners on the outside of the community.
Great. Any other questions for Stephen on the Fringe Area Road Master Plan? No? All right. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.
Item number 10 on the agenda, the 2025 Bismarck-Mandan Transit State of Transit Update. Deidre Hughes. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good morning, TAC members. I'm happy to report on a few of Bismarck Transit's 2025 accomplishments, as well as provide an update on some of our current projects. We celebrated our 5th year of a clean audit for fiscal year 2024. We also participated in the city-driven transportation steering committee, which resulted in the recommendation to the Bismarck City Commission to allocate $1.1 million to cover our projected 2025 deficit, plus an additional $1 million for future service changes. I was also able to testify before the state legislature in favor of Senate Bill 2254, securing $384,123 in urban agency operational funding for 2026 and 2027 state fiscal years. We did have a meeting with the mayors of Bismarck and Mandan and also established a framework for how we would be distributing sales tax funds and the split between the two cities. We were awarded over $1.6 million in competitive federal grants for operations and capital purchases. In 2025, we exceeded our advertising sales goal, reaching over $95,000 in advertising. We were also able to successfully negotiate our contract with We Drive You, which resulted in a $4 an hour pay increase for all of our drivers. This was really a preparation to the service changes that we're hoping to introduce this year. We fully transitioned our fixed route fleet to wide tire bike racks and introduced 4 replacement paratransit buses into service, including the Flex Bus, which is equipped to serve both fixed route and paratransit modes. To maintain our fleet replacement schedule, we have already submitted orders for 2 replacement fixed route buses and 4 replacement paratransit buses, in which 85% of the total costs are covered by federal grants. In 2025, we provided 230,833 total trips. Most notably, the CAT saw a 13.6% ridership increase over 2024, while paratransit grew by 2.83%. Based on public input, we implemented a permanent revision to the Orange Route to provide direct service to CHI Hospital. We also strengthened our Community Transportation Input Committee by recruiting through new members to ensure we remain aligned with the public's needs. As for 2026, Bismarck Transit hosted 2 public comment meetings on January 13th. The purpose of these meetings was to solicit input from the community on what types of service changes they would like to see from Bismarck Transit. There was a strong support for the Transportation Steering Committee's recommendation of 4 additional hours of CAT bus service and 3.5 additional hours of Sunday demand response service, as well as opening that Sunday service to the general public. Other comments included requests for an additional route in Mandan, questions on the number of drivers needed for the proposed service changes, the cost of Sunday service, and if additional buses would be needed to purchase for the service expansion. The next steps in the service change process is our public hearing, which is scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. at the transit facility. Comments will be compiled and presented to the Board of Directors for consideration later that day. If the proposed changes are approved by the board, the final step is approval by the Bismarck City Commission. If all goes as planned, I hope to present the changes at the City Commission meeting on February 10th. This will allow us time for recruitment and training of all new drivers and staff members. Our goal is ultimately to launch the service changes on April 1st. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, well, that was quite a year in review, and a lot of things on the burner for 2026 already. Are there any comments or questions for Deidre regarding Bismarck Transit's activities? Or anything upcoming? Oh, not seeing anything. Thank you very much, Deidre.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. Item number 11 on the agenda is other business. Is there any other business to discuss? Okay, so I would like to bring up under other business just what we were talking about prior to the beginning of the meeting. Some of our remote participants were not able to hear the conversation regarding the Bismarck-Mandan MPO's bylaws and the way that they're written, and the situation that was caused this morning by not having an audible roll call vote of members to achieve a quorum. So right now, the bylaws state that for the Technical Advisory Committee, we must have 8 members available to provide an audible vote on action items to achieve a quorum. We have had difficulty in filling one of those TAC positions for the last several years, and we have an additional position that is open due to the fact that it is an open position within one of our jurisdictions. So the discussion took place at the beginning of the meeting that MPO staff should take a look at the bylaws, look at amending those, and I think that we kind of hit on the possibility of focusing on that freight advisory position and either expanding the definition of freight industry or perhaps making that an optional position. Also, Daniel Nairn brought up that some city commissions do not recognize an unfilled position as pertaining to a necessary quorum, and so that could be another option as well, that we make sure to include that type of language in our bylaws. Are there any other comments that I might have missed regarding this other business discussion?
Kim, there was a question about whether other MPOs across the state have freight representatives on their TAC. I stand corrected. It's FMCOG does not, but they do have a separate freight advisory committee. So that's how they work the freight into their overall structure.
Okay. Do the other 2 MPOs will have freight members?
No.
No. Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments? Gabe?
I guess if we end up, Kim, getting into drafting or redrafting of bylaws, I believe the position that's listed in the bylaws is the Bismarck Community Development Director and not the Planning Director. So there could be some cleanup work there to address this too if you're touching it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good point.
I was reminded BNSF is a representative, though, on the Grand Forks MPO. So they have freight and the rail industry, I should say.
Okay.
I guess I admit I'm just as bad about thinking freight as trucking. So
Yeah, I think it's a common, maybe not misconception, but, we fall a little short in including all of our freight transportation industry. So, okay, staff will be taking a look at the bylaws then, bringing something back. We'll bring this up to the policy board this afternoon under other business and then kind of move forward with their direction, but bring something back to you in February to take a look at. Any other business?
I didn't realize this was the place for our updates. There is the upcoming North Dakota Transportation Conference. Registration is now open. That conference is scheduled to be held on March 10th through 11th here at the Bismarck Event Center. And so if you're interested, and I encourage everyone at this table and those who may be watching remotely to consider attending. In fact, there'll be a presentation from one of yours truly here with Stephen doing a presentation for the North Dakota Planning Association there.
Great. And where can folks find that information at, Will?
Yeah, that's on DOT's main website, so dot.nd.gov.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order to include other business? No? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.